Hello, my name is Angela Esau. In this video here, I'm going to teach you how to make this beautiful and cozy soft cowl. For you to be making this one here, I'm assuming that you are fairly familiar with how to do crochet. If you are checking out this video because you want to learn how to do crochet, please go and watch my 5 lessons on learning how to crochet first. Do some simple projects there. Make sure that you practice the skill, all the stitches, that they become even and neat and consistent. And then go ahead and start something a little bit more difficult. This project here definitely is not hard at all. All stitches that you will need is chains and double crochet, nothing else. So if you have mastered those 2 skills, I'm sure you can tackle this project here as well. I have made 2 of these. One is blue, my favorite, but I also have a red one here that I think turned out really beautiful. I loved using this for the holidays. People just said, wow, that's a beautiful scarf. And I'm like, yes, I made it. So you can do that too. It's just a very amazing feeling. So go ahead, try one. And the yarn that you will need is going to be Caron Simply Soft. This is a widely known yarn. You will find this in any craft store. 1 ball of 6 ounces will be enough to finish one project. So before you get started on this long chain here of 157 chains for this cowl that we're going to be making, make sure that you have available a small piece of paper and a pen. I literally do make tally marks for every 20 chains I make, so that later on I don't have to count them all over again, and then I'm absolutely sure that I do have 157. All right, so here we go. 1, 2, 3. Make the knot, and you have 1 chain. Now, every 20 chains, I'm going to do a tally mark, right? 18, 19, 20. So this is where I simply go and mark. All right. Now, when you bring your hook back into the loop, I need you to pay attention to this. So let me zoom in here so that you understand what I'm trying to say. All right. So this is where I stopped, right there. This is where I stopped to just let go of my hook and do the tally mark, right? Now, when you bring the hook back in, make sure that you bring it in the same direction. Careful that you don't accidentally twist this and insert the hook on the opposite side, because that will confuse you later when you need to do double crochets into your chains. All right, so make sure it's nice and correct right there. Okay? All right, so I will move on here on my own, and you do the same with yours, so that at the end we can meet at the 157 chains, and then we'll take it from there. Cool? Here we go. I have 157. That makes 120 plus 20 plus the 17 makes the 57 to finish it up. All right? So this way, I'm pretty sure I did a 157. If you're still like, oh, what if maybe I did a mistake? Go ahead, start from the bottom and do the counting. All right, and then do tally marks again if you have to. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and on, and just, you know, because we need to have 157. Otherwise, the pattern that we want to do will not work out at the end of the row. Okay, so once that is done, go ahead and let's move into the chain. And what we are going to be using here will be double crochets and chains pretty much throughout the entire work. So I made a little visual here for you to understand how our pattern is going to work. It's going to be this repetitious cycle around 5 double crochets, skipping chains, the V-stitch, skipping chains, and then back we go again. So it could just go on and on and on, all right? So this helps us to kind of keep track of where we are at. Now, to get it started, it's just a little bit more, it's kind of slightly different than what this pattern here suggests, so that our ends just turn out nice. So you have to find the 5th stitch from the hook, or the 5th chain. Either way, stitch, chain, same thing. The 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is the one. Okay, so make sure you make it a little, stretch it out a little bit so you know that that is the one. Okay. Okay, there it is. All right. So on that one, you're going to do 1 double crochet. Yarn over and 1 double crochet right there. All right. Very good. You will skip the next 3 chains. So there is chain. So this is the one. Let me get a different hook here so I can always show you without having to let go of my hook here. So there is the one I inserted. Now I need to skip the next 3. That one, and that one. Those are the next 3. So I have to insert there. So it's pretty much counting 1, 2, 3, insert on 4. That's kind of like my chant. All right. Skip 1, 2, 3, insert on the 4th. All right, but we have to insert as a double crochet, so make sure that you yarn over first. All right, again, be careful that you don't count this one here as your chain. That was the one that you just inserted the double crochet. It looks a little stretchy, so when you are moving on, make sure that you don't think that that one is still a chain available. That one is taken. We don't want to work on that one anymore. So yarn over. So here we go. Skip 1, 2, 3, and insert on 4. And on this one here, you will insert 5 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. All right. There we go. That was those 5 right there. And yes, the chain where all these 5 were inserted, they do become, it becomes a little stretchy, and that is not a problem. Don't worry about that. Hang on, my thing here is escaping. There we go. Don't worry about that, okay? There we go. Now, next one, we skip 3 again. In this case, we skip 3 chains. So there's the one you used, so we don't want the biggie. Here we go. 1, 2, 3 skipped, insert on 4, but yarn over first. I was kind of distracted about that as well. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, insert on 4. And this time you're going to do the V-stitch, and the V-stitch is 1 double crochet, a chain 1, and another double crochet. So there is the double crochet, chain 1, another double crochet in the same spot, and chain 1. Good. Now we go skip 3 again, yarn over first, 1, 2, 3, and insert on 4. So what now? Now we go back to the beginning of my pattern here. Yeah, back to the 5. So we do 5 double crochets right here. And 5. All right, and this moves on and on over and over again until you reach the very end. When we get here, I'm going to meet with you again and we will move from there. Okay, see you there. Oh, here we go. I'm almost at the end of my very first row. All right, so there is a V-stitch. And then we do one more group of 5 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, insert on the 4. Here we go, 5 more here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then the last V-stitch of the row. 1, 2, 3, and you will land exactly on the very last chain, and you will do a V-stitch right there. That's it. That is your very first row. All right? Good. Now, I need you to make sure that you count how many 5 double crochet groups you have. Okay, so you start here 1, 2, and on and on and on. So you should have 19. 5 double crochet groups. And then from the very beginning here, you count how many V-stitches you have. And this very first one here, which is that first 5 skip chains, remember, together with that first double crochet, forms your first V-stitch. It's a little bit of a quirky V-stitch. It doesn't look too V-ish to me, but that's the way it is. We'll count it as a V-stitch. So starting here until the very end, you should have 20 V-stitches. So before you turn to go into row 2, you chain 3. 1, 2, 3. There we go. Turn. And now you're going to do 2 double crochets right inside the big hole, not inside the chain, inside the big hole that the chain 1 formed. So we do 2 double crochets right there. Find the exact middle of it. All right, so there is 1 double crochet, there's the other one, there's 3rd, there's 4th, and there's 5th. You want the one in the middle, you want number 3, this one. So you will have to insert right there. Okay, it's right on the top of the 3rd double crochet. If that's not very visual for you, what you have to do is you have to look at the top here, turn it around, and see the chain that your stitches are forming. Skip 3 chains, 1, 2, 3, and this is it. That's exactly the spot that I told you. And it's right there where you're going to do your V-stitch. All right? So what's happening now throughout this entire loop here, I'm sorry, not the loop, this entire row, is that you're going to be alternating where the V-stitches go and where the groups of 5 go. So here you have a group of 5, therefore you're going to build a V-stitch on it. Here you have a V-stitch, that's where you're going to build a group of 5 double crochets on it, and so on and so forth. So it kind of like staggers. Okay, insert on number 4 and do your V-stitch. Wow, my neighbor's lawnmower is going now. All right, now you do 5 double crochets inside the V. So you can see the V. This is not the V, this is not the V. That's the V. All right, so we will do 5 double crochets right in it, and that will repeat itself on and on until the end of the row. All right, so let's do one more V. I see it there already, so let's count. 1, 2, 3, and it's on 4 right there. It's right in the middle. This is where you do your V-stitch. There. Okay, so this is how it will build up, alternating the groups of 5s with the V-stitches. Now, you do your work, go ahead until the end of the row, and that's where I'm going to meet you for us to do the turn one more time. Okay, see you there. All right, so this is the end of row 2. And you pretty much have one group of 5 here in the bottom, and you did a V-stitch right there. Now, to finish up the ending here, you just have to do 3 double crochets in that spot. Okay. 1, 2, and 3. Now, this is the end of row 2. We're going into row 3. Before we turn, we chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Now we start row 3. Good. All right. Now what you do here, you simply do 1 double crochet in the next stitch. So this is the one where your chains came from. So do 1 double crochet here. So it kind of is like a V-stitch, but it doesn't look much like a V, but it doesn't matter. Don't worry about it, but it's considered as a V-stitch. Okay? And then from here, we pick up on that pattern that you know, which is the 5 double crochets inside every V-stitch. Okay, so let me do this one here for you. There. And then the V-stitch on the 5 double crochets. All right, so this repeats itself again until the very end of row 3. So it keeps going on and on. All right, so when we are at the end of row 3, I'm gonna show the turn for you again, because this turn here is gonna be slightly different than the one we just did. Okay, because sometimes when you go on the turn, you're going to face a V-stitch like this one here. When we turned, we came, remember before we turned, we came here, right? And then we faced a V-stitch. So we did 3 double crochets inside the V-stitch. And then we did a V-stitch on the top. Slightly different than that V-stitch, but I showed you what to do. Now on this one here, we are going to face first those 3 double crochets. So it's slightly different. So it's going to be or one or the other, depending on which side you are at. So when we are at the end of row 3, I'm going to show that to you one more time. So in this case here, yes, you have, instead of, you have to put a V-stitch here, but you have only 3 double crochets instead of the usual 5. So all I do is I simply do my V-stitch in the top of the last stitch here. So here was a double crochet, here was a double crochet. This was like those chain 3, remember? So at the top of those chain 3, that's where I do my V-stitch. And that's it. I'm done with that. All right. So this was the end of row 3. Now, before we turn into row 4, let's chain 3. 1, 2, 3. All right. Now here, when you're starting row 4, you have to start exactly how you started row 2. Okay, so this here is row 3, and this is row 2. So row 2, you had 3 chains and then 2 double crochets inside that V. Same thing here. You have the 3 chains, and you're going to do 2 double crochets inside that V. There we go. And then, here we go. This is kind of familiar ground now. We do a V-stitch here. And then the 5, and then the V, and then the 5. And then again, we're going to face what at the end here? The end of row 4. Oh, we're going to face a V-stitch. So instead of doing another V-stitch here, we will have to do, instead of 5 double crochets, you have to do only 3. So it goes back and forth like that. So from now on, I leave you working on this because the pattern is shown to you. I tried to explain as best as I could here how to do the end, because the end, as you can tell, is slightly different from everything that happens in the middle. Actually, the difference is that instead of doing here 5 double crochets, we end up doing only 3, so that the end looks nice and straight. At the end, I will meet you here, and then we will finish it up, and it will be ready to be used very soon. See you there. Here is the end of this project. So I ended up having 17 rows, and that might depend for you. The ball of yarn says it has 6 ounces, and it gives you more or less an estimate of how much yards is in each ball. However, you need to give and take a little. It can vary, and also depends how loose or how tight you crochet. So if you end up with 16 rows, great. If you end up with 18 rows, great. However, what you need to really pay attention is that you do have at the end at least 7 feet left, because we need that to crochet, to single crochet the 2 ends together. So my whole scarf here ended up being 3 feet and 7 inches, and its width was almost 10. Okay, so that gives you an idea. If yours is slightly more, slightly less, it's really not a big deal. All right, so let's move on. I think we're ready, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to bring one side to the other. Don't worry about the wrong or the right side. It's barely noticeable. Besides, this edging is going to be behind your neck, and nobody's going to see it. And we're going to turn this around here so that at the end, when we are done crocheting these sides together, that your work doesn't end up doing this, you know, shifting like that. I recommend that you safety pin this with 2 safety pins right here, just so it stays put in place. Okay, there we go. So what you're going to do here, you're going to be looking into single crocheting this together. So first I go grab that loop that was still waiting for me, and I find this corner here, wherever there's a big opening right there, and I go here on the other side, find a big opening, and simply do 1 single crochet. And with that in mind, I'm going to do 1 single crochet on each hole that I find. As you can tell, the holes kind of line up here, see? So 1 single crochet, 1, so pretty much 1 here, 1 here, 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 here. So there isn't a magic formula here again. So you just kind of play it by side and make it feel nice, and you don't want it too tight or too loose. So about 1 single crochet on each hole is enough. So however, you need to make your single crochet nice and loose so that by the end it doesn't tighten up and becomes very stiff. So you see what I'm doing? Both sides together, so it's thicker here, so insert through both panels and go. And make it nice and loose. Alright. And then once when we get to the end, we simply finish up with the loop, weave in the ends, and there we go, it's ready. See? So I am at the very end already. Yeah, it makes nice big chains. There we go. I think I have room here for maybe 3 more. One, 2, oops, I don't think, yes, it did catch it. And the last one, there it is. All right, now I pull through, close it up with a knot, and there, together it is. Nice and neat. Then take the safety pins away. Grab your needle with a dual point. Weave in the ends. So what I do here, I just sneak this into the middle of this joining, kind of right in between both panels. There, see? And this one here is going to be left just to kind of close up. It kind of became a little open there, right? So I will close that up with this here. Now this one here simply hides and hides and hides. Once in a while I like to just go back and make a knot and pull through. That kind of helps. If there is enough yarn left over, I just pretty much tuck the entire thing in throughout the entire ending here. And I like to do these knots here once in a while as well, just to make sure that it will not be a problem later. There we go. Now at some point before I reach the other side, I simply snip it off, tuck it in there again, and I snip it off for good. And if there is going to be a little bit of a point showing, usually that's not an issue because this is going to be behind your head, around your neck. Nobody's gonna see that, really. Now let's weave in the other side. Yeah, this one here kind of needs just a little bit of joining there. You see, became kind of like not exactly too nice. So let's just join both sides. There and there. There we go. Then do it one more time. Good. And one more, and with this one I do loop it through to make a knot. All right, and then from here again I sneak it in until it's done, until there's no more yarn left. Maybe you want to do one more like that. And through, and done. There we go. Alrighty. Here it is, and then we just turn it around, and your cowl is ready to go. So I hope you enjoyed making this, so please leave a comment. I would like to hear about how you worked with this, and if it was hard, if it was easy, what were the challenges, and so on. So thank you so much, and take care. See you in my next project.